One of the earliest known reports of Dogman encounters across North America would first be reported near the small town of Elkhorn, Wisconsin, after a series of sightings were made featuring a creature later referred to by the town as the Beast of Bray Road. Although this strange creature is now recorded as one of the most well-known creatures of the area, the original encounters and legends of the creature dating back to the later 80s and early 90s contain eerie similarities with more commonly reported Dogman sightings of more recent years. On the night of the 31st of October back in 1999, a young 18-year-old woman known as Doris Gibson reportedly witnessed what she described as a bipedal humanoid creature, covered from head to toe and further wrapped around its entire body. According to the eyewitnesses, she had been driving along Wisconsin's Bray Road, a long stretch of road that resides roughly 3 miles east of the town of Elkhorn, Wisconsin. As she was driving along the road, she claimed to have seen several animals running at the side of the street, most likely fleeing a large predator in the area. Once she reached the intersection of Bray Road and Hospital Road, the movements of the animal and the surrounding empty streets gave her a sudden extreme sense of anxiety, and so she began to mess with her car radio to find some music that could help ease her stress. As her attention was turned away from the street for a fraction of a second, the young girl claimed to have felt the car jump slightly, and heard a loud thud as if her right front wheel had run over a small animal that was scurrying across the street. Worried that she could have possibly hit a small child, as the 31st of October was the night of Halloween, the young 18-year-old woman pulled over to the side of the road. Stepping out in the almost complete darkness of the night, Doris took the time to look around and inspect the road, though was completely unable to find any trace of her accident. Fearing that her car tire could have been misaligned and created the jerking motion, the young woman also took the time to analyze the car, but was unable to find any dents, scratch marks of misalignment that could have caused the strange thudding sound. It was at this moment in time, as Doris was preparing to get back into her car, that she claimed to have noticed what she described as a 6-foot-tall, huge bulky creature that stood several yards down the road staring back at her. Unsure of what she was seeing, the woman and the creature stood motionless for some time as they watched each other in total silence. Without warning, however, the creature suddenly began charging towards the direction of Doris as she heard the pattering of its feet loudly striking the ground. Without a second's hesitation, the young woman re-entered her car, slammed the door shut and immediately started her car's engine to speed away. Unfortunately, the car could not start up fast enough, and the creature started to climb on the trunk and slammed against the car's metal frame with several thudding blows. Within a few seconds, however, the car soon sped away, causing the strange humanoid creature to fall off the car and allowing Doris Gibson to make a clean getaway. Shortly thereafter, Doris arrived at one of her friend's house, with whom she had planned to go trick-or-treating with. Fearing that the other girl would not believe her story, Doris failed to bring up her encounter with the strange humanoid creature, believing that her story would have been shrugged off as nothing more than a made-up Halloween tale. Doris then planned that perhaps she would be able to encounter the creature again that night, if she returned to the original location where the sighting had occurred. As the two girls approached the area of Doris original sighting, they claimed to have seen the dark form of the creature standing at the side of the road. According to her friend, the creature appeared to have been a fur-covered humanoid creature that walked with a slight limp. The following morning, the two girls would come forward with their sightings to their friends, family and neighbours, who would all wish to examine the car for proof of their claims. Once examining the car, however, it became apparent that Doris did encounter some creature, as the trunk appeared to have had deep scratches, impossible to have been made by a person, and seemed to have been something out of a horror movie. Although Gibson and the other girl claimed to have possibly encountered a Sasquatch creature, many residents of Wisconsin soon came forward with their stories about an unknown humanoid creature that helped to shed light on the encounter, they failed to accurately explain what was exactly stalking the nearby town of Elkhorn. One such witness testimony would come from an older woman named Lorraine and Izzy, who claimed to have spotted a similar creature back during the fall of 1989. According to Lorraine, she had been working as the manager of a local business, forcing her to stay late so that she could close up. On her way home, she decided to take a less popular used route back to her house and follow the Bray Road out of town. As Lorraine was roughly a half a mile west of Hospital Road, she claimed to have spotted what she originally believed was a person crouching at the side of the road. Worried that the person could have been lost and needed a ride, Lorraine began to slow down as she approached the figure. At first she noticed that the figure appeared to have had strange eyes that glowed an almost reflective yellow, though assumed that the light could have been nothing more than a reflection of her bright headlights shining down the road. As she neared within 10 feet of the figure, it became obvious to Lorraine that the figure was definitely not a person. Lorraine would go on to describe the creature in vast detail, claiming to have gotten a perfect look at the monster before pulling away out of fear. The creature was described as being a large hairy beast featuring a human-like body, large barrel chest and strong humanoid arms, with dark greyish-brown fur wrapped around its entire body, while possessing an anatomically correct wolf-like face, with pointed standing ears that ended up in a long pointed snout, with massive fang-like teeth that were clearly visible from a distance. In the creature's hands, Lorraine claimed to have seen what looked like smashed prey. Although Lorraine quickly drove away, she believed that the animal must have been something natural to our world, and was most likely stalking the road to find food that had lost its life due to car speeding. Due to the popularity of the stories reported by Doris and Lorraine, a local newspaper reporter by the name of Linda Godfrey had been alerted to the strange rumours of a werewolf creature, and began a private investigation into the sightings that would later be published in the Walworth County Week, a local newspaper. It was at or around this time that the story of a wolf-like monster prowling around Bray Road would reach the height of its popularity, with local residents referring to the creature as the Beast of Bray Road, causing several more independent eyewitnesses to come forward about their encounters with a strange creature without fear of ridicule. The first eyewitness, a local resident by the name of Scott Bray, who owned a small private farm near the Bray Road. He claimed to have seen what he described as a large wolf-like creature, estimating it to have been the size of a bear prowling around the edges of his property. According to Scott Bray, he first spotted the creature sniffing around his pasture field adjacent to his dairy farm. He claimed that the creature was much larger than a typical wolf. Worried that the creature was stalking to make an attack against one of his dairy cows, Bray went towards the creature while armed. Once the creature spotted Bray, it immediately turned away and ran. The next day, Scott Bray inspected the area where the creature had been sighted, and discovered large dog-like paw prints, much too large to have been a typical dog or a wolf, mixed with human-like handprints scattered throughout the area. Fearing that the animal might return when he was not around, and possibly attack one of his cows, Scott armed himself once again and used the footprints in an attempt to track down and hunt the creature. After following the tracks for several hundred feet, he noticed that the prints suddenly seemed to have disappeared, as if the creature had completely vanished. Although he would spend several hours looking throughout the area in an attempt to pick up a new track, no evidence of the strange overly large wolf-like prints, and the human-like handprints were seen elsewhere in the area. Several days after Scott's sighting, however, another local resident claimed to have encountered an upright wolf that matched Bray's description. According to a man by the name of Russell Guest, he had been walking near Bray Road, in an area completely overgrown with weeds and low-lying brush, when he heard rustling in the dense overgrowth. Wondering what could have been making the noise, Guest began investigating the area and shouting out loud, fearing that perhaps a large animal was lurking nearby, slowly waiting to attack him while he was unaware of his surroundings. After several more shouts, guests claimed to have seen a large dog-like creature suddenly stand up out of the nearby bushes, or slowly walking towards him on its hind legs. According to Russell Guest, the creature stood at roughly around 5 feet, and possessed wide shoulders and was completely covered in dark fur. For several seconds Guest stood frozen, staring at the dog-like creature in complete terror, as it looked unlike any dog he'd ever seen before. Before long, the dog-like creature began running at Guest while on its hind legs, causing Guest to turn around and start running and shouting. After getting a distance away, Russell Guest turned round and noticed that the creature had dropped on all fours and was no longer chasing him, instead seemingly travelling towards the direction of Bray Road. Believing that the sightings was something far more supernatural, the reporter Linda Godfrey began to investigate other possibilities and other strange creatures in the region, and would later publish a book on her findings with the title of the book being The Beast of Bray Road. Today, more than 50 independent sightings of the creatures have been reported surrounding the small town of Elkhorn, and many hundreds more sightings of Dogman-like creatures have been reported all across North America. So what do you make of these encounters? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.